Hello, today we are going to develop this beautiful Excel inventory template, and for the purposes of valuation we are going to use FIFO method. Now this template is multi-product template. I mean that you will be able to maintain multiple products in the same Excel sheet. But to make it a simple start for you, there is a separate video on the same topic on the same Excel inventory template with a single product. Now this template will require the use of some complicated formulas. So if you are at beginner or intermediate level of Excel, I would advise you to watch that video first. The link for that video is available in the description. Now, before I start developing it, let me show you how this template is actually working, and then you can also download it for free so that you can start using this template straight away. Now let us start from the first step, and the first step is to add a new product. We already have two products X and Y in our template, but let us say now we are purchasing a new product, that is product Z. You will click on this add new product button here, and then you will be adding the product name, for example product Z. Now the units sold, stock units, and this value will be calculated automatically when you enter your stock. So I will click on the stock in, and here I would say that I have the product Z. I am receiving 1000 units of that, and the cost per unit is assuming $50 per unit. You can see my template is telling me that out of this batch I haven't sold any units yet. All of this 1000 is available, and total value of the inventory is $50,000. Similarly, if you take a look at this inventory balance template, you can see none of the units have been sold. In stock we have 1000, and the value for that is 50,000. Now if we have to issue some units out of it, for example say we are issuing a single unit out of this product Z stock, how we are going to cater that? I will click on this stock out, and you can see we have this data here. I will click on the product Z, and I would say that I am only issuing one unit here, and when I would calculate COGS, you will see that your cost of goods sold has been updated. That cost of goods sold for this one unit is going to be $50. Going back to the home screen, you can see your inventory balance has been updated. One unit has been sold. Now we have $9.99. The valuation of inventory is this one, and similarly this inventory balance has also been updated. Now definitely this was only a single batch of product Z, so you must not have used FIFO, you must not have observed FIFO here. But if I add more stock of product Z, now let us say we stock in another batch of product Z, and that is going to be 1000 units again at $60 per unit, you can see that the inventory balances have been updated. But if I now record a stock out of product Z, and now let us say we are issuing 1000 units this time. Now please keep in mind, by using 1000, let me delete it for a second. By using 1000, you would eliminate all of this $9.99, and you would also be taking a single unit from this available batch as well. So if I take 1000 units here, you can see this batch has become 0, and this batch has become 1000 minus 1. So using the FIFO method, Excel on priority used this batch to calculate cost of goods sold. Now finally, to calculate cost of goods sold, I will just click here, and you can see your cost of goods sold has been calculated. And if I just can verify this for you for a moment, how we can do that? You know that 999 units were from the previous batch, and another 1 unit is from new batch. For the previous batch, the cost was $50 that we have purchased here, and for the new batch cost is $60. Now if I just multiply the units with the cost and do the same here, you can see that the total cost of the batch that has been issued is 50,010, and Excel automatically answered that for us, so we don't have to do all that workings. we can simply trust Excel for that. Now you can see everything is working fine here in this template with FIFO inventory valuation method. So if you just need to download that, use that, you can download it right now and start using it. But if you want to learn to develop this template, that is actually I would recommend it, because you will sometimes need to modify the template according to your business needs. So it is important that you understand the template in depth. So we will be building this template now right from scratch. So I would open a blank Excel file now. And now in this blank Excel file, let us start developing everything right from scratch. First of all, let me zoom in. You can do that by pressing Ctrl Alt plus key on your keyboard, or you can also do this scroll bar here to zoom. Now I would leave 2 rows on the top here blank so that we can add the headings and buttons here later on. But from the third row, I would start developing my template. So the first column here is the product name, and after that we should have the units that are available in stock, and definitely we should have the value of the stock. So I am using 3 columns here: the product name, the units that are available in stock right now, and the value of that total inventory value that we need to report in our balance sheet. So now that we have these 3 columns, we will be inserting a table on that. So I will click on Insert tab and click on Table. Definitely you can add a new more columns here, for example units sold, but I don't need that for now. So I will stick to these 3 columns and insert a table. And yes, my table has headers, so I will check this box and click OK. And once you have table, just click on the last cell here and press the tab key, and again click on the last cell here and press the tab key, so that your table has at least 3 rows. Why we are doing that? This is important because when we would apply any settings, we would select multiple cells from the same column, all the cells in that particular table, so that my Excel knows that the formula I am writing or the settings that I am applying is not for any particular row or any particular cell, rather it is for the complete column in that particular table. That is why I have added 3 rows, so that I can apply the settings on the complete table. Now before moving forward, a little bit of designing for the table. I will remove this filter button here. So I will go to Design tab and uncheck this checkbox of filter button, and then you can choose different styles. I will stick to this simple one. Now after that, let us add our second table here. In this table, we will actually be recording all the inventory receivings and their balance batch by batch. So first thing I got to have is to record the date, and then I will be using the product name, and then I will also be using the units that I am receiving in that batch, and then I will also be recording the cost per unit, and then I will be also be recording total cost of this batch that we have purchased. So date, product, units, cost per unit, and total cost. All of this information is needed to record a purchase. But then after that, we will be having a column for units sold, that the batch that we have received here, how many units of that have been sold and how many units are available, and then total inventory value for that particular batch. So all of this information has to be recorded. So now that we have headings, I will do the same process. Insert table. My table has headers, yes, okay. And now let us add 2 rows here, and then finally go to table design, uncheck filter button, and let us change the design to our favorite design. Alright, so after this I need to add a third table as well, and just to keep everything on this screen, I will zoom out a little bit. And now for this third table, I need to have the product name, I need to have the units that we are selling in that particular batch, and then finally I need to have the cost of goods sold, COGS, that stands for cost of goods sold. So in this table we are going to record the inventory outs and their cost. So now let us Again repeat the same process. Table, it has headers, okay, add multiple rows, and now let us simplify the design to a decent one. So we have our 3 tables, and now I will quickly add headings on these tables so that my user can see what is what. So I will be adding insert, and in the illustrations I will go to shapes and choose this checkbox from here. So this is going to be my first heading, that is inventory balance. Let us bring it on the top here, change the design a little bit so that it is visible separately, and give it a little bigger size. Right, so this one is inventory balance. Now for the other headings I will be simply copy pasting this checkbox to save my time. So copy and paste. This table is going to be inventory ends. And finally our last table is going to be inventory outs. Right, so now that we have this overall structure, I just don't need to see these grid lines so that I have a nice view. I will go to this view tab and uncheck this grid lines button, and now we can zoom in a little bit so that we have better visibility. This total cost column is something that is we are going to use that very rarely, so I will be hiding that later on. Now that we have a basic structure, I need to add the products in this particular table. So before you add a new product here, that product cannot be available here in this inventory in or inventory out. This is basically to standardize that you can only record the products which are available. So what I will do is I will select this complete column here in inventory ends, and I would say go to this data tab and click on this data validation. So once I click on this, I would say that please do not allow any value, only allow a list. And where is that list? I will click on this icon to select the list, and I would say the list is here. And now click this checkbox again, and now I will click on OK. And now you can see that your Excel basically has drop downs, and when you click the drop down you can only insert a value. So for example, if I add a product X here, X and then Y and then Z, if we have these products here, if I go back, now you have the option to choose from product X or Y or Z. These are the only options that are available to you. So this way we have standardized that you are only recording something that is available in the stock. And this is also important that we are recording our inventory names in a very similar manner. So we are using the same capital letter or lower letter, and we are not giving unnecessary spaces. And the reason for doing that is the reports in Excel only work properly when we have the standard names. So we just want to ensure that. Now similar step here for the product, select the complete column and then go to data tab and this data validation option. Here I would say only allow the list, and the list is here, and then I will click on OK. And now you can see even in this table we have only the option to choose from the list. After this we have to record our stock ins. So once we have all of this data, the next task will be to receive the inventory. Some fields here has to be input by the user. For example, you have to record the date on which you are receiving the stock, the product name for which you have received the stock, the number of units that you have received, and the cost that your supplier has charged you. But then other fields are dependent. Total cost is dependent on other calculations. Same goes for the units sold that comes from here. Same goes for the units available. So just to, before I start writing the formulas for the values that are dependent, I would just enter some dummy data here so that we can understand the calculations that are happening. So I would just go here and record some inventory purchases. I would say 1st of July 23 we have received a batch of product X. We have actually received 1000 units and the cost per unit that we have received is $10. Similarly, on 2nd of July we have received another batch of product X. Again we have received 1000 units, but this time the cost is $15. And then on the 3rd of July we have received another batch of product X, 1000 units again, and this time cost per unit is $20. Now the next thing that we need to do is to calculate total cost, and for that I would say total units in the batch multiply by cost per unit. And when we multiply that, you can see the formula has been automatically copied in the complete table. And that is exactly one of the reasons we use the Excel table feature. So when we are working with tables, we can write formula for one particular cell and it is automatically copied to the complete column. So this is one beautiful reason of using Excel tables, but there is another one very good one, but I will be showing that to you later on. For now I will stick to the basic calculations that we are doing. Now when we talk about units sold, this calculation has to come from this table. So I will stop this calculation for a minute and I will go to units available. And we can understand that units available would be whatever was purchased in this batch minus whatever has been sold. So we can do this calculation now, and of course in all of these three batches all the units are available. And finally the value of the stock that is available right now will be calculated as units that are available multiply by the total cost per unit. So when we multiply available units with cost per unit, we can calculate the value of the stock that is available. Now before I move forward, I would like to format these numbers properly. So I will go to the numbers option and I would say use the comma separator with no decimal and then click OK, and our numbers are now bit nicely formatted. Now before moving forward, let us apply these calculations on the inventory balance as well. So the units will be calculated from this particular table here, and same goes for the value will be calculated from this table here. But why we still want to have a separate table for inventory balance is this table has multiple batches. This table records data batch by batch. So looking at how many units are available in this table will be a bit complicated when there are hundreds of rows. But this table will tell me a single value of units from this table, and that is exactly why we have a separate table for inventory balance. Now how do we calculate the units of this product available in this table? You cannot simply use the sum function, because sum function will disregard that which product is related to this product, right? This inventory quantity, right? So for that reason we cannot use a simple sum function, rather we will be using SUMIF. So I would say equals SUMIF, and the SUMIF criteria is that first thing is range. Range is this one. So the range means that where we need to check our criteria. So this is the range where we need to check our criteria, and the criteria is this product here, right? And then finally after this product, the sum range that we need to do is this one. So I will close the bracket and press enter, and you can see system is telling you that for X you have 3000 units, which is correct. For Y you have 0. Yes, that is absolutely correct. All of these are X. And for Z you have 0. This one is also correct. So let me repeat again. How do we do it? SUMIF, go to table 2 and select the product column. Then check the product here, and then table 2, whatever is available, please calculate that. And I was telling you that there is another very good reason why we use Excel tables to store data, and you can see the reason here. Usually you will see the cell references in the formula, that from B2 to B10, something like that, right? But when you are using tables, Excel has built in this formula on the complete table. Now whenever you add any row in this table, no matter that is on the top or the bottom or in between, somewhere between the lines, whenever you add a new row, this table will automatically include that. So this way, using tables, we can have this type of formula which are more sophisticated, and you can say more error free. And another thing that I would like to tell you right now is, now you can see why we added 3 rows at the beginning, so that when we are linking, you see, when we link this particular cell here, it is treating it differently, but when we are linking the complete column, it is treating it differently. So we need to tell Excel that they need to use the complete column, not a specific cell. So that is why we begin by adding 3 rows in the table and then apply workings accordingly. But don't worry, we can, once we have all the formulas, you can delete all the unnecessary rows that you need. Right, so now that we have formula, let us move on and do the same working for value as well. So I would say equals sum f, range is this product range here, the criteria is this cell, and the sum is going to be this value here, and close the bracket and press enter, and you can see you have the value of the product, which is exactly $45,000 for product X and 0 for product Y and product Z. And again, let us do the formatting. So I'll go to this option, number tab, no decimals and comma separator, and press OK, and you have better formatting now. Now we need to talk about our inventory outs. So the first step has already been done, and that is product name. So if I select product X now and I say, let us say we are issuing 100 units of this particular product, how would we ensure that this 100 units have been picked up from the last batch? In fact, I would say the first batch that was received first of all. For that, we need to write a formula accordingly here. But we also need to ensure, no matter how many units are we issuing, that units must not exceed the units that are available in the batch. So I would say that units sold must be the minimum of this one or this one. Why we are saying minimum? Because units can never exceed this quantity or this quantity. So I would say let us use a minimum function, minimum of this cell or this cell, and close the bracket. Now please ignore these two calculations for a moment, because the formula is not complete yet. Just keep an eye on this particular cell, and you can see system is correctly telling you that you have sold 100 units out of this batch, and we have achieved that using the minimum function. But what if I add another batch here? Let us say I issue more units of product X, and this time I say I have issued 1000 units of product X. Now when I will press enter, this batch should become 0, but now in total there are 1100 units, right? So the next 100 units should be gone from this batch. But when I press enter, you can see nothing is changing, and the reason for that is, if I just go to this formula again, you can see the reason is you have selected this particular cell only in your formula. This is not even included. So how do we do that? So I would say when you are using the minimum function, let me go back here. When you are using the minimum function, you will not just only link this cell, but you will say sum of all of these cells and close the bracket. And please keep in mind, you need to close one more bracket for the minimum function as well. So we closed one bracket for sum function and the second bracket for minimum function. And now we press enter, and when we do that, you can see now we have this complete 1000 units that have been issued. Again, I would say please ignore these one for a minute. Just keep your eyes on this one. This one is working fine now, but still we have a problem, and that problem is we have said that please sum this table completely, and that is wrong, because eventually this table will be incorporating different products X, Y, Z and others as well. So we cannot simply use a sum function like that. Rather, we got to use a sum if function where the product matches this product here, right? So I will delete that again, and I will say we need to sum that up, but not a simple sum, rather a sum if where in this range the product matches this product, then sum all of these units, right? And now close the bracket and press enter. So it is telling you that you have one parenthesis that you need to close. Yes, let us close that now, and now let us press enter. So now we have the same calculation in this cell, but this time now we know that if I change the product to product Y, my system will be able to handle that now. So if I just go back to same product again for a minute, I would like to show you that this particular cell is working absolutely fine. So if I just make the cell 899, which means that total becomes 999. So you will see that the 999 has been correctly reflected here, and system is correctly telling you that there's only one unit remaining here in this particular batch. This is all right, but we need to now consider the second batch as well. And what do we need to consider for this? Let me explain you. My formula was that for the units sold, go to the minimum of this batch and then consider it versus all the units sold to date. Well, that is okay, all the units sold to date, but when we are talking about this particular batch only, we got to exclude the units which were already issued from the previous batches. So if we are saying the units are sold here in this particular column, but they have been issued from the previous batches, then of course those units are not going from this batch. So all I need to do is, let me delete this bracket for minimum function and now press the negative sign and link the previous unit sold, which is this cell here, this particular cell J6, and now close the bracket and press enter, and you can see now this particular cell formula is also correct, which is telling you that out of this batch nothing has been sold. And if I now make it, we had total of 1000 units in this batch, 100 were issued here. If I make it 901, it will mean that one additional unit is basically going from the next batch. So I will press enter and you can see one unit is going from here, right? So formula for this batch has also become correct. But now we need to write a robust formula which will cover all the scenarios, and we can then copy paste the same formula in the complete column. For that, I will come back to this batch here, this first batch, and I will say that rather than deducting one last cell, because we are copy pasting this formula up to the cells up, and we will not just be considering one last cell but all the units sold previously, right? So all I need to do is to say minus sum of all the cells below, right? But if I will use the sum function, it will not do the distinction between the type of the product, right? So again, I cannot use the sum function. I will be using the sum if function. And what we got to do, I would say, for this range, let us not select a few cells only, let us select the complete column, so that when we are adding rows and rows and rows and rows in this table, when we are adding hundreds of rows, our formulas don't break. So I will select this cell here and I will select the complete column below. So Control Shift down arrow key, the complete column has been selected, press comma, and now go back to this cell here. What is the criteria? The criteria is in this particular cell that go to the cells below, check the criteria where the criteria matches this particular cell, press comma. You need to sum what? You need to sum the units sold. So let me select the units here, right from this particular cell below my table, this particular cell here, and then Control Shift down, and the complete table has been selected, and close the bracket for SUMIF function, and then close the bracket for minimum function, and press enter. And you can see system has automatically copy pasted the formula in complete table, but I can do that again. And you can see now system is working completely fine for all the batches. In this batch of X, 1000 units have been issued, in this batch of X 1 unit, and in this batch 0. Alright, so time to test it. Let us do this calculation from scratch again. Delete it and delete it. So now you can see we haven't issued anything at all until now. If I issue my first unit, this is going from this first batch, first in, first out. If I issue 999 units, all are going from this first batch. If I issue 1001 units, these 1000 units have gone, and then we are picking up the data from units from this batch, FIFO basis. And now if I add 999 more units, making it a total of 2000 units, you can see this batch has also become 0. If I add one more unit of product X, you can see one unit has been issued from here as well. So my system for the FIFO basis has started to work completely fine. And remember that my workings are dependent on the product. If I just change the product X to product Y, this batch is again going back to 1000 units available, because you are saying that you have only sold 2000 units of product X, which means that this batch should be completely there, making it back to the X. And you can see this system is working completely fine now. Now to make the cost of goods sold calculation, I will be deleting these unnecessary rows. Now I will be starting right from the scratch, right from the first row again. So I will delete these rows now, and now I would say that let us make it 1 unit just for now. Once we complete our cost of goods sold calculation, we will be adding more and more rows now. Right, for the cost of goods sold, all I need to do is to calculate the value of inventory before the issue of this 1 unit and after the issue of this 1 unit. Well, simple. If before this issue my inventory is $50,000 worth, and after this issue my inventory is, let us say, $49,000 worth, it means that in this issue the goods worth $1,000 have been issued. It's very simple logic, right? So I will be making calculations here. I would say let us calculate the value of inventory after issue of stock here, and similarly let us calculate the value of inventory before issue of stock here. Now after the issue of stock is going to be very simple. And why? Because once you write the units here, only then you will calculate your COGS, right? Only once you write your units here, you can see your inventory value has been updated here as well and here as well. You can choose any table that you like, but I will be preferring to use this one, but you can choose this one as well, no problem. So I would say that please bring the value of inventory after issue, which is right now the situation right now, from this table on my left. But again, that table is not just showing me the value of product X, that is also showing me the value of product Y and Z. So what I need to do is to write a SUMIF function. So I will say equals SUMIF. By the way, since in that table, if I just show you, in that table this value is only appearing one single time, so you can simply ignore SUMIF function and use VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP function for that. That is absolutely fine, there is nothing wrong. But if you are using this table, you will definitely be using SUMIF function. Here you can use VLOOKUP or XLOOKUP, but I will simply stick to SUMIF for now. So I will say equals SUMIF, range is going to be this one, the criteria that we need to match is going to be this product here, and the sum is going to be the value from this particular column here, and close the bracket and press enter, and you have the value of your inventory after this issue, right? Now the question is, what is the value of inventory before this issue? And you can see, once we have posted the data, once we have posted this units, the tables have been updated. How do we now pick up the value of inventory before this issue? Well, this is a little, there are multiple ways of doing that. I tried multiple ways, but I will be using the one that I found eventually the simplest one. So formula is going to be a little complicated, but please keep the confidence that in the eventual scenario, in the broader scenario, this is going to be the simplest solution. So here for the first calculation, when there is no other inventory issue, I would say that the inventory before this issue was all the inventory that was purchased. So I can simply take a sum of all of this cost here, and this will become inventory before issue. Keep in mind, this is the first issue transaction. But we cannot apply the sum function here, and the reason for that is very simple, that there can be different types of product here. So rather than sum, we are gonna use SUMIF function, and we would say in this range, if the product matches this product here, then sum of these values. So this is all the inventory that has been purchased, and once you press enter, you can see we have the inventory before this particular issue, and if we can just take the difference of these two cells, that will become COGS. So this cell minus this cell is my cost of goods sold. And you can relate here, the items that you purchased in your first batch costed you $10 per unit. So for 1 unit it should be $10. If we make it 2 units, it should be $20. If we make it 5 units, it should be $50. So our working is here completely fine. So let me make it 1 unit for now, and now the next thing that we got to do is to copy paste this value from here to this cell. And why we are doing that, because if I directly put the formula here, as the values will update in the future, as we are doing more and more stock issue, this value will also be updated, and that is something we don't want to do. We want to fix this value at $10, because once the issue has been done, the cost of goods have been calculated, we have to move on. So let us now do the second batch, and from there we will actually build a proper logic for the overall scenario. So to insert a row here, I will select all the cells here and do Ctrl Shift plus. Now let me select the row as the product as X, and let me select 1 unit again. Now you can see that for 1 unit the cost cannot be 20. The 1 unit had costed you $10. So what is happening here? This is what we need to correct. So we know that inventory after this issue is 44,490. We can see that here as well, and we can see that here as well. So there is nothing wrong with this inventory after this issue. The problem is with this calculation here, that is inventory before issue. And the problem is this formula that we calculated was based on this total cost, which is still the same. But now that we are talking about second issue, the inventory before that was this total purchase minus 10, right? Minus this issue that has already been done before. So the logic is very simple. All the items that you purchased must be in inventory, and if they are not, they must have been sold. they must have been issued, in which case their cost must have been recorded in this table here. So all I need to do is to deduct the cost of goods already sold, and for that you simply cannot pick this value, because you know this table will include all the different products XYZ. So rather than doing simple deduction of this value, or rather than simply using sum formula, I got to use SUMX formula on this table. So I would say minus sum f range is this complete table. Please keep in mind I'm using the complete table. Then the criteria is this particular cell, and the sum range is this complete table here. And of course you are including this cell as well. We will use it carefully. Just let us move on for a moment. Okay, and close the bracket and press enter, and now you can see you have correctly calculated the cost of this second unit. If I make it 2, you have the correct value again. If I make it 9, 9 units at $10, that should become 90, and you can see this is done completely right. Now I will copy and paste it, Alt ESV to paste, and you can see this value has become 0 because the cost of goods have been calculated. The value has become 0. Right, let us try one more. So insert a row, give it a product name, let us say product X. Let us try on a single unit, and you can see this is $10. So copy and paste, Alt ESV. So cost of goods calculation is working absolutely fine. Now before we wind up, we just need to apply some automation on this sheet, and for that I have to have add new product. That is done here. By the way, other than automation, our work is completely fine, but I will just do the automation first, and then I will be showing this to you, showing this complete thing on different products after that. So I want to have one button here for add new product, which button will actually go back to this sheet, this table, and add the products here. Then I want to have a button for stock ins, and then stock outs, and then for the calculation of COGS. So let us go here in the option, and in the shapes I will go here, and I will select my first button. Actually, let me call it add new product, and let me make it fill this light blue, or maybe we can make it green, and insert it here, make it a little small, and let us make sure that everything is correctly center aligned. Bold it so that it is looking nice, and let us apply no outline. Right, so this is looking like a nice button now. So now we can copy and paste it, and let us call it stock in. Let me reduce the size of that button, and let me change the color as well to something different. Right, and let us copy paste that again. Now let's call it stock out, and let us change its color as well to something different. Let us make it something like, I think this one is okay, and we can change the font color as well to make it a little more easily visible. Right, and finally we got to have a button for calculation of cost of goods sold. So that button would come here, and I would say calculate COGS. So I will make it the most important button with the red color, and let us do that here. Right, so now that we have all of these buttons, let me align them nicely. One important thing that we would like to do here is that once we select all of these buttons, let us right click and go to format shape, and in this properties, click on don't move or size with cells, so that these buttons don't adjust when we add or delete rows. Okay, so now it's time to build the functionality on these buttons, and let us begin with the first one, which is add new product. But before that, I just remember important thing, and that is for all the cells where the user does not need to input the data, I want to make the font color blue, so that they know that we don't need to do any action. Now these units and these values are basically calculated by formulas, so I will give them the blue font color. Similarly, here in this table, all of these values are based on formulas, so I'll give them a blue color. Similarly, here these values are coming by formula, so I will be giving it a blue color. So all the black fields that are here, the user will know that they need to input the data here. Now the first thing that I need to do is that when user clicks this button, add new product, my system should go here and insert a row above this line. So I would say go to developer tab and click on record macro, and yes, this macro will be stored in this workbook. The name is going to be add new product, and click on OK. And now the macro is recording. What I need to do Excel is to click here on this cell, select the complete table row by pressing Shift space bar, and insert one row above by pressing Ctrl Shift plus, and then I would check that if these cells have correctly copy pasted the formulas from below, and yes, these have already done that. Let us make the font color blue, right? And now finally the Excel should stop here in this particular cell when I close down, right? When we click on the button, the function should come and stop here in this cell. Now let us go to developer tab and click on stop recording, and now click on this button, right click and say assign macro, and this is going to be add new product, right? Now I will delete all of these cells for now, and now let us go here on add new product, click, and you can see the formulas are copied, the font is blue, and you have the option to add the new product. Let us add the product Y. Click again, and you have the option to add a new product, that is Z. So the first automation has been done. Now let us talk about stock in. When the user would click stock in, I want Excel to go here and insert a row above and make sure all the formulas are copied, right? So I'll go to record macro, and I will say stock underscore in, and this workbook is fine. Click OK. Please go to this cell, select the complete row, add a row above, then here, for the sake of saving time, I would say apply today function, and then copy paste it, Ctrl C and Alt ESV. So what we have done is we have made sure that system first applies today's date, and then it copy pastes that, so that the today formula does not remain there, otherwise it will update. So after that, the product will be entered by the user, same goes for the units, and same goes for the cost per unit, that will be entered. All I got to do is to ensure that in these 4 cells the formulas have been properly copied from the cells below, and you can see it has happened. Just change the font color to blue, and then stop in this cell, right? One more thing, just to make sure that the dates are written in the same way, I'll say that also change the date format to this one, okay, and then end up here in this product column. And I would say now go to developer tab and click on stop recording, and now right click on stock in, assign macro stock in, and click OK. And now let us delete this top row first. Now click on button, here you have the row, everything has been done correctly, and you got to add only these 3 values. Click again, you have one more row. Click again, you have one more row, right? So I will delete these rows now, I don't need it at the moment. After this, I got to do the stock out thing, and when your user clicks on stock out, the system should go here and insert a row above, and that is it. So I would say record macro, the name is stock underscore out. Okay, go to this cell, click here, select the complete table row, insert one row above, and then the COGS will be coming from here. Don't worry about that. The units will be entered by the user. Don't worry about that. Here the user will be selecting the product himself. Don't worry about that either. All I got to do is to ensure that the COGS color is made blue, then end at the cell, and I would say developer tab, stop recording, right click and assign macro and stock out, and okay. And now if I click here, you can see the system is inserting new rows. For now I will just delete them. And finally, once we talk about the calculation of COGS, let me delete this 10 from here. Let me show you. So when user clicks COGS, what I want Excel to do is go to this cell, copy this value and paste it as values here, and that is it. So record macro, name is calculate COGS. Okay, and then wherever you are, go to the cell, Control C to copy, Alt ESV to paste it as values. Okay, that is it. Escape to uncheck that, and then just come back to this point, or maybe we can leave it here as well. Stop recording, and I would say assign macro, calculate COGS, and okay, the macros have been added. So the automation has been done. One last thing that I really want to do right now is I want to hide these workings here. So I will just select this data, go here in the home tab and make the font color to white so that these are not appearing. And after this, let me go back to my home screen and see everything is appearing nicely here. Right, so other than just, if I can just increase the size of these two fields so that the button is nicely placed. Alright, so this is now absolutely fine. With this, now we can everything is complete. I just need to demonstrate you some things, and for that I will just be doing some entries now. So first of all, let me record a stock out for the product X, which is already in stock. So stock out, how many units are already there? 11 have been issued, right? So 989 are already available in this batch. So I will go and select product X, and I would say let us select 989 units and see if this works fine. And I would say let us calculate the COGS as well, and the COGS have come up to be 9890, which is absolutely fine, because if the unit cost was 10 and the units are 989, this should be absolutely fine. Let me zoom out a little bit so that the screen is not adjusting itself again and again. Let us record stock out again, and this time I'm going to take product X, but for units I would say that let us take 1001 units. So 1000 would go from here and 1 would go from here. So let me add 1001 units, calculate COGS, and it has come up to be 15,020. Let us see if that is correct. So that we have, if I just do the workings here, that we have 1000 units from this batch and 1 unit from the other batch. This batch had the cost of 15, this batch had the cost of 20, and if I just multiply them, this multiplied by this, the cost is going to be 15,020. So I will delete that now. So you can see this product is working absolutely fine. Now I will go and add a batch or 2 batches of product Y. Let me add a stock in. I would say this is for product Y. We have received 100 units of product Y at $50 per unit, and everything is working as expected. And then I will be doing another stock in for product Y, and I would say we have received another 50 units of product Y at, let us say, $70 per unit, and then the system has updated all the records correctly. Let us do a stock out, and I would say we have done one stock out for product Y, and let us add 110 units here. So I would say 110 units, and this is the time where we will check if everything is working fine. So yes, with 110 units this batch has become 0, and another 10 units have gone from this batch and 40 are available. And one last check, important one, is going to be the calculation of COGS. So calculate COGS. System is saying this is 5700. Let us see if that is correct. So 100 units and then 10 units. These 100 units had the value of 50 and these had the value of 70. So if I just multiply this, multiply by this, and then again and then sum, this comes up to be $5,700. So with this, our Excel template is working absolutely fine for multiple products with the FIFO method. Now if you want to use weighted average method, there is a separate video for that on our YouTube channel. I will just drop a link of that in video description. And if you like to do a very simple Excel template without valuation, there is a simple video and template available for that as well. And finally, in the future we will be doing more template videos where we will be linking our inventory templates with invoicing templates and with accounting templates, so that we have the complete accounting, the complete integrated accounting system in our Excel. So if that is something that you would be interested in, please subscribe the channel so that you have all those updates. So I'm looking forward to see you in those next videos. Have a nice day.